Happens, Clinton sits down for an interview with the FBI after months of speculation and email dumps. So as the agency's investigation of Clinton's use of a private email server while Secretary of State picks up speed, what kind of legal battles is she facing? Judge Alex Ferrer is a former police officer and Florida Circuit Court judge, now a Fox News contributor. Judge, good of you to join us today. Let's weigh on this. Look, how you look at this as a judge, Your Honor, when you see it on the surface.
Well, I know that last September, when they were starting their investigation, the FBI made it very clear that Ms. Clinton was not a target of their investigation. However, that was at the beginning of the investigation, and as information comes in, an investigation starts to take shape and form and starts to come to a point, given the fact that her aides were interviewed 3 months ago. And she is basically the last interview. It seems pretty clear she has become over time the target of the investigation. Now, whether that means they have a case against her, or they don't, that's really up to the FBI and the Department of Justice. But I think that some of the information that's come out of the last 9 months or so certainly would leave people scratching their head if there wasn't some kind of criminal referral. I mean, we've learned that she had an email where she instructed her staff to take a classified document, scrub the classification off of it, cut and paste the contents of it onto another email, summarize it, and send it to her. You can't do that and evade classification laws. It becomes a crime when you do something like that. But there may be other information that we're not aware of that would counter that, and so we'll have to wait and see what the FBI does.
But on the surface, as you've said, it is a crime and it is punishable by law. Now, we do know from our reporting from Jennifer Griffin, who's there at the Clinton house in Washington, reporting outside of there, that in 2011, when she made this a statement, in fact, a missive for all of her people to follow, there was one person who did not.
I'm waiting to hear from the IT tech, her personal IT tech, who took the fifth and was granted immunity. The FBI and the Department of Justice does not grant immunity to somebody just for sport. They know what that person is going to say before they grant immunity, because they require the attorney to give them a proffer. They don't want the person being granted immunity and them falling on their sword and saying, I did it all. So they get a proffer from them of what their testimony is. And if it's worthwhile, then they grant them immunity. So I assume there may be some information coming from there. But we have information from so many different sources. And then you paint that with a ridiculous visit by Bill Clinton to Loretta Lynch the other day, and Loretta Lynch, because she should have stopped that visit on the spot. And it just all smells bad, really bad.
And Judge, that's the issue. Now, I want to ask you a question here, because there have been some people talking in conservative circles that have said President Obama could have avoided all of this. And if he had gone ahead and stepped into this and perhaps taken this investigation off the table, does he have the power to do that through executive power? Could he have done it through some sort of legal maneuver to keep Clinton away from this kind of situation?
Sure, if he wants to go the route of President Nixon. I mean, presidents can be charged with obstructing justice and interfering with an investigation. That's not to say it couldn't happen. It certainly could happen behind the scenes. I, for one, don't believe for a second that Loretta Lynch was the one who decided to redact the transcript of the Orlando shooting to eliminate references to Islamic terrorism. That all comes from the top. So behind the scenes, what could happen, of course, but overtly like that, absolutely not.
So tell me, I mean, if you're looking through your crystal ball as a judge, and obviously that's very difficult to do, what are we going to see happen here when the FBI concludes its investigation and brings information forward?
Well, as I said, I've suspected all along that she would be criminally charged. If she's not criminally charged, which I think is going to be coming down very soon, I'm probably going to have complete faith in the investigation. Not to say that I have faith in the DOJ, because it was shaken the other day. Up until that point, I totally did. Yeah. But Comey has a stellar reputation, and FBI agents will not sit back and allow a political maneuver to shake down the result of their investigation. You know, you will hear outcry if there is something done behind the scenes to kill the prosecution that otherwise should go forward. So if they don't charge, and you don't hear that outcry, then I think Comey probably did not find enough to go forward despite all the stuff that we've heard.
Judge, a lot of people are watching this, obviously, and it'll be the talk of the town from here until the presidential nomination that takes place at the Democratic Convention, or whatever happens between now and then, resulting from this FBI investigation. Judge,
And probably thereafter.
And thereafter, you're right. Good to see you, Judge.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Kelly.
America, and certainly the Republican Party, up in arms. They are sick and tired of it. Sarah Palin has put her finger on this. I mean, there's a group out there called GOP Delegates Unbound, and they're running a commercial that juxtaposes Donald Trump to Ronald Reagan, and it makes Ronald Reagan see, we have a process in this country. When you win the nomination, everybody rallies behind the person. You don't run. I supported Mitt Romney. I didn't agree with Mitt Romney. I supported John McCain. I didn't agree with John McCain.
Okay, but let me
And I've
ask
been
you
old
this.
enough to know I might.
Carly, you can jump in on this. I want to show you something that Donald Trump tweeted out today, and this is pretty serious stuff. On the left was his first tweet. Crooked Hillary makes history. The star is a Star of David. Presumably, he didn't realize that when he tweeted it out. This is not a retweet. This is what he tweeted. And then he deleted it and then followed it up with a more innocuous circle over this. Jeffrey, what happened and what is with this unforced error?
Well, I think it's silly. I mean, as you know,
Is it silly or is it offensive?
As many Americans may not know, daughter Ivanka is married to a Jewish man. She has become Jewish herself. He has Jewish grandchildren.
Okay, but presumably she did not copy edit his tweet. This is what he sent out. So what happened?
Yeah, well, sure, you can make a mistake, but it's not, I mean, he's not anti-Semitic. His family is Jewish. I mean, come on, let's wake up here.
But Jeffrey, come on, it's not the first time that Trump has retweeted things that are offensive.
I don't think.
Bakari, final word to you.
For me, I just sit back and we started with Sarah Palin, and I'm just thankful Sarah Palin is still there, so we get some good Saturday Night Live in the near future from Tina Fey. We just sit back and enjoy these rants that she goes on that many times don't make sense. And if your daughter actually went into a rant like that, a nursery rhyme rant, you would probably get her checked out. So that's first. But we ended up with where Donald Trump is dangerous, where he has this xenophobic rhetoric. And then for Jeffrey to say, oh, he has a son-in-law that's Jewish is the equivalent of someone being racist and saying, I have 5 black friends. It doesn't quite work like that.
Please. He's got Jewish family. I mean, he has a long history of activism on behalf of Israel. He is anything but anti-Semitic. He's the guy that opened Mar-a-Lago to Jews when the rest of Palm Beach wouldn't have him in their club. He's the one who did this.
And,
but you can't
and African Americans, I might add.
I'm going to have to leave it there. Bakari, I'm sorry. I promise I'll give you a few.
And Donald Trump, as a man, has received more awards from the Israeli government or the Israel government than any other politician. Google that shit. That's why Jeffrey Lord was saying that, because that is straight bullshit. Now they're going to say he's racist against Israel, where he just came from CPAC guys and done a big-ass speech at CPAC in front of all the Israel people, and Israel already backs him. Come on now.
This year's RNC. And in an interview with the New York Times, Trump says he's thinking about asking more sports athletes and celebrities to attend, including people like Serena Williams and Don King. His children will definitely be speaking, he says, and Senator Jeff Sessions from Alabama is also expected. Now, the presumptive GOP presidential nominee, speaking at the conservative summit in Denver yesterday, also pivoted his focus to the private meeting held between President Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Republicans and some Democrats are outraged that Lynch met with Mr. Clinton privately, given that Lynch's Justice Department is investigating his wife Hillary. Lynch says it was a social conversation about grandchildren and such. Trump is not buying that explanation and already hinting he believes this investigation may be compromised.
But it's not a joke. It's not a joke. It's a very serious thing. And to have a thing like that happen is so sad. And as you know, Hillary is so guilty. She's so guilty. I mean, you can read them right off here. And how that's not being pursued properly.
Meantime, the Associated Press releasing a short list of potential Trump VP.
What did I tell you yesterday when the video dropped? If you watched it, I think it got like no views. But that's ridiculous because you should go back and watch it because everything I reported yesterday, Trump hitting her today with the same shit that I made on my videos, baby.
Brian Yennis from our New York City newsroom. Thank you, Brian. Now to the vice presidential selection process for Donald Trump, which Brian was just talking about. Let's bring in Jamie Weinstein, senior writer at the Daily Caller. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. I'm good. I wanted to ask you about what Brian was talking about. That's the fact that Donald Trump is looking for a vice presidential pick.
Actually, Donald Trump has been talking about making those illegal immigrants in the country go back first to Mexico before they can come back to the United States through a process, a vetting process. So in one aspect, that's an interesting pick for Donald Trump to choose. Mike Pence is a movement conservative. Maybe Trump would hope that he would be able to rally some of those movement conservatives that are skeptical of Donald Trump. So it's interesting to see that he's moved up on the list as a possible contender.
Well, you're talking about movement conservatives. Let's go back to Newt Gingrich, who made a movement with the Contract of America when he was in Congress. What kind of sway would he possibly have if he were to be picked by Donald Trump?
Well, it seems that Newt Gingrich is almost openly auditioning for this role. Just yesterday, he kind of changed his long-standing position on trade. Newt Gingrich famously helped usher NAFTA, Bill Clinton's NAFTA proposal through the House when he was in the House. But now Newt Gingrich has kind of backtracked on his support of NAFTA, kind of get more in line with Donald Trump's position. Obviously, Newt Gingrich knows the ways around the House of Representatives, being the former House Speaker. He certainly would make a good attack dog on the campaign trail for Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton. And he certainly, it seems, to want the job. So he is someone that I wouldn't be shocked if Donald Trump chooses him, though I'm not sure it's the best political move for Donald Trump.
You brought up Hillary Clinton and the fact that if Newt Gingrich were to be the VP pick, that is someone that Hillary Clinton is accustomed to doing battle with, Mr.
Yes.
Gingrich. And what does Hillary Clinton have to look for in a vice presidential candidate?
Well, it depends which way she wants to go, and some people suggest that in order to unify Bernie Sanders supporters and bring some excitement to her campaign on the left, you pick someone like Liz Warren, who they admire and like. But that might also turn off some of that Wall Street money that's coming to her campaign. It's been reluctant to give to Donald Trump because she is a kind of an enemy of Wall Street. Or you could go maybe to someone like Tim Kaine, kind of a vanilla governor of Virginia and a former senator.
But Tim Kaine, can he pull it off with some of the scandals that have been going on in his home state?
Right. Exactly. And Tim Kaine recently has come under some scandal with accepting some gifts. So maybe that pushes him down to the bottom of that pick. Now, other people have suggested she might even do a game change candidate, surprise everybody, and try to coax someone like Bob Gates, the former Secretary of Defense, a longtime Republican who's skeptical of Donald Trump. Maybe he would jump on board and really change the map. Or even someone like Mark Cuban, the billionaire owner of the Dallas Mavericks, who's been very critical of Donald Trump and said he would be open to the job,
but would it pass
no
his
question about it.
tank test? But looking forward, what about Cory Booker? Is he still a possible person on the periphery?
Well, his name is lingering out there, and obviously he is a very smart politician, a rising star in the Democratic Party. Obviously, Hillary Clinton doesn't need him to help win New Jersey. That's a state that usually goes Democratic. But he would be, a very young face of the Democratic Party, and it may make him a future presidential candidate for sure if she chose him. But it's unclear if she'll go in that direction.
Yeah, and he's so well liked, even by Chris Christie, by the way, here in the state of over in the state of New Jersey. It's amazing to see the kind of friendship that the two of them have, even though they're at odds politically. Well, Jamie, we thank you for joining us, and we ask that you have a good 4th of July. It's a lot of breaking news today. Obviously, we're going to be focusing on what happens with Hillary Clinton and the FBI investigation, and certainly we'll be looking at what she will do in terms of choosing a running mate, and of course everyone's looking at Donald Trump as well to see what person he'll look for. So we appreciate your insights.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right, thanks.
Even tougher, Democratic lawmakers in the Golden State cracking down after high-profile mass shootings like the one in San Bernardino last December. The changes are set to take effect next year, but not everyone is on board. Will Carr live in Los Angeles with more on this. Hi, Will.
Hey there, Laura. California already had some of the strongest gun laws across the United States, and on Friday, Governor Brown turned 6 bills into law, including a ban on semi-automatic rifles with so-called bullet buttons. That's when the shooter has to use the tip of a bullet or a tool to eject the magazine. Then next year in California, if you want to buy ammunition, you're going to have to provide identification and take a background check. Also, there's going to be a new state database of ammunition owners, and there will be a ban on magazines that hold more than 10 bullets. Now, Brown issued a statement. It was a single sentence where he said, "My goal in signing these bills is to enhance public safety by tightening our existing laws in a responsible and focused manner while protecting the rights of law-abiding gun owners." The Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence weighed in. They say these new pieces of legislation add to the unprecedented momentum for common sense gun safety policies we've seen at the state level in recent years, and we're committed as ever to fight for public safety in our home state. The NRA, though, firing back, saying Governor Jerry Brown today signed a draconian gun control package that turns California's law-abiding gun owners into second-class citizens. The governor and the legislature exploited a terrorist attack to push these measures through, even though the state's already restrictive laws did nothing to stop the attack in San Bernardino. And Second Amendment advocates say that next year they wouldn't be surprised if these laws are challenged in court.
Our governor and our policymakers in California have kicked the law-abiding public squarely between the legs and chopped them off at their knees.
We should point out that Governor Brown did veto several gun restrictive bills, but there's really a caveat to all of this, and that's that there are several measures that are going to be on the ballot in November, several gun restrictive measures. Those are being pushed by Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, and if that happens, this could just be the beginning of more restrictions here in California. Laura.
All right, Will Carr for us live in the LA Bureau. Thanks.
Britain voted for it, but not everyone is happy as thousands of people take to the streets today in protest of the Brexit.
If you suffer from a dry mouth,